Hold on to the night. Hold on to the memory. Okay, so we're back. Had a little bit of technical difficulties on the previous live. However, hopefully those have been resolved, and now we can begin in earnest. So I went down to Los Angeles last weekend to run a live Infield program. First time in LA in quite a while, and it was very interesting because I'm not sure if I don't know if this is like personal confirmation bias or what, but it's the entire city seemed quite grimy and sickening. And I was in Venice on the third day. We were actually running around in the daytime, meeting people. And yeah, it was just a very grimy vibe. And it's kind of funny because I think a lot of people, they talk a lot of trash on San Francisco. Oh, it's so disgusting that, there's feces everywhere and needles. In my experience, Los Angeles was far more disgusting. So I don't know where they get off because, those in glass houses shouldn't throw feces. Because it was quite disgusting and sickening. But now I'm back here in San Francisco, California once more. Here we are on Friday, May 28th, excuse me. And, the weekend's about to begin, so I hope that you got some cool plans and everything. Drop your plans for the weekend in the comments here, and I can critique them. Or feel free to ask me any questions that you may have and pick my brain. I'm a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. I'm also white, but I'm a walking encyclopedia of knowledge on social interaction, on technique around social interaction, on vibing, on charisma, on vocal tone production, on emotional wavelengths, etc., etc. And, I've got a wealth of experience in this area. So feel free to drop in the comments here. And we are back. Had a little bit of difficulty. My computer became unplugged in the middle of the live last time, but that's not going to happen anymore. I can assure you of that. So, anywho, like I was saying, tomorrow, Saturday, May 29th, I'm starting the first of 5 live mentoring sessions, and you can be a part of this if you go to 5hourcharisma.com and join up today. You're also getting, in addition to these 5 live mentoring sessions, you're getting my program, 5-Hour Charisma, is basically my program, Charisma Mastery, which is an 18-hour program, like a university-level dissertation on how to train your voice, your face, your body, your intellect, your emotions, your intuition, on how to just be very, very free without inhibition and create a powerful, compelling vibe that makes people want to look at you so you can actually execute your technique. Okay, so I took the top 5 hours from Charisma Mastery, which is like a $797 program, or $797, $997, depending on how much you payment plan or not. But again, this is a very expensive program. I've distilled it down to the top 5 hours, and then on top of that, we're doing these 5 live mentoring sessions, all for $155. Okay, so it's very cheap, almost free, basically. So if you go to 5hourcharisma.com, you can learn more about this, and you can join us for these 5 mentoring sessions that are going to be taking place over the course of 4 days in the next month. Okay, so I'm very excited about this. Basically, had to fight with the corporate higher-ups, in other words, to get the price down that low. But I want as many people as possible to be exposed to this content because, honestly, not to toot my own horn, but this is a very, very unique, a very, very unique program that we have here. Because again, you might have somebody, if you're an actor, you might have an emoting coach. If you're a dancer, you might have a movement coach. You might go to cognitive behavioral therapy to, look at your emotional processes and kind of learn your triggers and stuff like that. You might go to a variety. You might go to, a peak performance athletic trainer. You might look into neuroscience, transcendental approaches. I've taken a little bit from all of these things and combined them into one package that's designed to actually get you results. Because look, I've been teaching this stuff live for 18 years. I'm not just some academic that read a book and said, oh, this sounds good. It's like, no. I do read books. I read books. Owen reads books. We all read books. We love books. But I only took the stuff that I felt actually gelled with my actual teachings that I saw in field. Is this going to be something that would help somebody in field? And not just be this, these fascinating abstractions. Because I think a lot of inner game work, especially with related to getting your mind under control when you're out. And that's a big thing, right? A lot of people get stuck in their own head. And essentially what's going on there is the mind has elevated itself to this position of power over your system. It feels like it needs to be in control of everything, right? It needs to be in control of the face, the voice, the body. It needs to be control of the emotions. It needs to judge every impulse that the intuition is giving it, offering it up of things to say. It needs to judge before that stuff can be allowed access to the external. Is this good enough? Is this something good to say? Unfortunately, there's no time out in an interaction for you to judge that. So again, the mind's elevated itself to this position of authority, but very often it's not qualified to handle these energies that it's put itself in charge of, right? So again, we want to increase the amount of time that your mind spends in useful and supportive activity, as opposed to being this judgmental fucking hindrance, this barrier between the inner and outer. Right? So we do work on that. We do work on the emotional process, identifying hot triggers, cooling those off around anxiety so you can be effective. We do work on intuition and improving access to the intuition so you don't run out of things to say. These are all very important things. But as I said in the past, in a moment ago, I think historically a lot of the inner game work that you hear people talk about, it remains these fascinating abstractions, fascinating abstractions, like these teachings, they never really go outside of the realm of like thought experiments, these philosophical experiments that aren't really related pragmatically to reality, right? So I'm like, okay, how about I develop a way that you can actually exercise this stuff in a tangible way, in a real tangible way, without just some flowery language about like, letting go or being present or getting unstifled. It's like, dude, this isn't helpful. This isn't helpful to people. And in the past, this is a huge hole in my teaching game. I'd see dudes out, like I'd see some student. I had a guy this other weekend, literally last weekend in LA. And this guy, he's in the field, very nice guy, cool guy, very cool guy, well-dressed, got a clean look to him, hygienic. But the guy just sucked. He couldn't get in and maintain. He couldn't hold people's attention. Like they would like humor him, So he's going up, and he'd say something. They'd be like, "Oh hey," they'd tolerate him being there because he's not like doing anything offensive. Hell, he's not doing really anything. He'd go in and he would just basically say something, and then he stood there and he had this look on his face, like kind of like it was like this little. Kind of like, I wouldn't even call it a smirk. It was like an awkward smile, like this awkward little smile, like a tense smile, like with like a lot of held tension. I get to see the tension on his face. I'm like, yo, dude. And I turn to my assistant. I'm like, look, he's got sad face. Sad face. We call it sad face, right? It's an acronym. It means serious, anxious, deadpan. Like he's like you could tell. It's like, this is serious business. This interaction, it's not fun. I'm not having fun. This is serious shit, right? And then too anxious, like, I hope it works. I hope it works. I hope it goes well. And then deadpan, like inexpressive. Like what I don't show can't hurt me, right? So serious, anxious, deadpan. And I'm telling this guy, I'm like, yo, you have what we call facial armoring. And let's do a little couple things here to release it. So again, I took him aside. Now, normally I won't do this in field, but he was so shut down that we kind of had to. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do some facial flexing. Let's, and again, a lot of the exercises we do for the face, for facial armoring, they deal with like the malleability of the facial communicator. So basically just loosening the muscles up. And then secondly, we want to look at why he feels inhibition around expressing with the face. Because look, that's the thing too, eye contact, I think the face is the least consciously developed area of communication. Like, for those of you who have been following our work since the beginning, how often have you heard anyone talking about like facial work? Nobody talks about that. Why? Well, initially I thought it was because it's not sexy. It's like, oh, eye contact, facial expression, whoop-de-fucking-do. Like, cool. That's not like a hot topic. And that's true to an extent, but now I actually believe that people are afraid of it. They're straight up afraid of it. The face is the mode of communication through which we send very open and vulnerable messages about how we're feeling. And again, the eyes are the windows to the soul. We've all heard that old saying. And again, these messages can seem threatening. They can feel threatening to the sender. They can feel threatening to you, especially if you're somebody who's been guarded in your communication your whole life. And let's face it, if you're out at a bar and you're trying, you go up to somebody you like and you want to date them hard that night, for you to go up and stand in front of them and look them in the eye, that is essentially an admission. It is an owning of the intention. This is why I see most clients, I see them out there, they can't square up. They're like this. They're like talking like this. This is not squared up. This is like, I'm like at a 10-degree angle here. So again, just feel the difference. If I go like this, hey, what's it going? Versus this. I know it's just through a screen, but again, you can feel the difference. I'm like, hey, like off to the side. Here I'm not owning the intention. To go like this, hey, good evening. They're like, oh shit. They just know. And I'm owning the intention right off the bat, which is extremely powerful. Because otherwise you're like this, oh, like, hi, I'm gonna pussyfoot around, beat around the bush. To, no pun intended. But to go like this is like, yo, what's up? I'm here to pursue a romantic encounter with you. Essentially, I mean, you don't need to say it. Right, but again, people are afraid to do that. They're very afraid to do that. So this guy had sad face. So again, a lot of the work we do in the mentoring program, for example, focuses on that. In fact, let me call this up real quickly here. So if we look here, this is basically the curriculum that we go over in the mentoring. And so, week number 1, we go over those outer projective communicators of the face, the voice, and the body. Now, an inability to express yourself, and in the voice, what's the equivalent of facial armoring in the voice? The equivalent of facial armoring in the voice is speaking in like kind of a monotonous speech pattern, or not even monotonous. It's just very predictable. Like they speak in ruts. So the guy will go like da 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 da, and it's not monotonous per se. It's just very predictable. And then in the body, there's just like physiological held tension, closed body language, maybe shifting from foot to foot, jaw, head, neck tension, breath holding. There's like a lot of stuff that you're likely not even aware of, because the subtle onset of tension can be almost subliminal. It can happen because again, you've held these things to be useful and necessary for so long that you're likely not even aware of them. And then when someone points it out, oh, now you can become aware. So a lot of this is all about awareness, because the mind wants to shut down expression because it deems, oh, I could get in trouble, right? If I go up to this person, I express myself, I express intention, I express anything really, I might be ridiculed, there might be a confrontation, I might lose validation, I might be embarrassed. Better shut that down. And how does the mind shut it down? It calls the body into play as its enforcer with physical tension. And again, this kid the other week that had the facial thing going on, he wasn't even aware of it. So he pointed it out. Of course, remember, understanding doesn't create change, it just creates the motivation for it. Okay, so then in week 2, we go over the inner guidance modes of the mind, the emotions, and the intuition. Then in week 3, we go over the 6 skills of charismatic communication. In week 4, we go over core confidence versus situational confidence and how to develop that. We talk about conversational techniques in week 5. Week 6, we go over frame control and persuasive ability. Week 7, conflict communication. And last but not least, week 8 is leadership. And what I'm talking about when I say leadership, I'm talking about individual leadership, right? The ability to make yourself move towards the perceived danger. Even if that, intellectually, that danger it's not, it's arbitrarily related to reality, but your mind's like, I want proof. I want proof, motherfucker. I don't want promises. Give me the proof. So you've got to find something inside that beast mode, that Mamba mentality, as Kobe used to say, R.I.P., right? But to make yourself move up the hill and charge towards the perceived danger, right? So anywho, these are the topics that we cover in 5-Hour Charisma. Now in the mentoring, that's an 8-week mentoring program where we dig into each of those things with missions and assignments and all that good stuff. And then there's twice a week. We do calls twice a week. But for 5-hour charisma, the reason I'm pimping this right now is because tomorrow we actually start a mini mentoring. And what it is, you're going to get 5 live mentoring sessions with me over the course of 4 days. And these are going to go several hours. And you're getting my program Charisma Mastery, which is an 18-hour program distilled down to the most impactful 5 hours. So essentially, you're getting Charisma Mastery plus 5 live mini mentoring sessions with me for $155, which is basically like nothing. It's essentially free, which is crazy too, because I'm still getting even though this makes me laugh, I'm still getting messages from people who are like, can I get a discount on 5-hour charisma? I'm like, bro, that is the discount. Like, how much cheaper? How much you literally want me to just give this to you for free? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? This is why you're most likely not having success. You can't dig $150 out of the couch cushions. What the? Get your shit right. You know what I'm saying? So again, $155, 5 live mentoring sessions with me, and the most potent 5 hours of Charisma Mastery, all in one wonderful package. Check it out, 5hourcharisma.com. Anywho, let's answer a couple of comments here. Abby says, I find people don't like hearing the truth. They want to be BS'd and hear sugar-coated BS. Now, to be fair, I agree with that. But to be fair, there's also such a thing as being diplomatic in the way that you deliver things, especially when, we're talking about dating. It's very prone to being shut down by feelings of self-judgment. Because let's face it, number one, it's so results-oriented. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people, their criteria for success is, did the other person like it? Now, why is that a bad criteria? Why is that a bad metric for success? Well, the problem is there's too much randomness and you don't know who you're approaching. Like, let's say you're a guy and you want to go up and talk to some woman that you're interested in dating, and it turns out she's like the lesbianest lesbian that ever lesbianed. And it doesn't matter what the hell you say. You could say like the most pitch perfect game that ever, Don Draper level game or whatever. She's still not going to be down for it because that's just not what she's into. Right? So, and then for you to take that on board as a personal failure, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? So you want to get to a point where, number one, you have a criteria for success that's completely within your own control. And this is how you get to that place where you're actually confident. Because you don't feel like it's just completely arbitrary. Oh, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You don't feel like it's this numbers game. And to an extent, it always is going to be a numbers game. You're like, right place, right time. Were you there? Were the people you're talking to, going to be receptive at all, as we said. But again, by putting the focus internal, then it's in your control. You have a sense of control. You also have to have a sense of commitment, but commitment plus control equals confidence. So look, if you go up, let's say you go out tonight and you have a criteria for success that is as follows. Number one, I'm going to go talk to people. I'm going to approach someone and I'm going to engage. Number one, I'm going to approach and I'm going to engage. I'm not just going to do a high five and then turn away. I see that a lot. Guys will be like, high five. And then the person walks by, they're like, or that was my approach. Or they're like, I like your thing. I like your dress. And the girl's just like, oh, thank you. And then walks by. They're like, that was an approach. It's not an approach. An approach is to go up, get in front of them, say hello, and continue to speak. Continue to speak and keep speaking until either you get past the social hook point where they go from thinking, who's this person? Why are they speaking to me? To, okay, I like speaking to this person. Let's continue doing that. And you're going to keep talking until you get to that point or they leave. That's an approach. Okay? Number two, did I approach? Number two, did I own my intention? Let's say your intention is to close a sale. You go up there and you're going to actually introduce the idea of the sale. Let's say your intention is to get romantic with someone you just met. You're going to throw that out there. Of course, in a smooth and cool and fun way, but you're going to put it out there. And you're going to, again, for a lot of people, that just means standing in front and looking them in the eye is going to be, that's the start of owning the intention. As opposed to just like derping around in this like platonic friend zone and then being shocked when it doesn't work. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? You thought that it was going to resolve itself to your satisfaction magically? Are you crazy? Are you dumb? It's not how it works. They're not going to do it for you. Hell, half the time, like, and again, half the time with these guys, they don't even know what the hell they want. They're like, why is this person here? I mean, they do. They're not dumb. But they can't respect it. They're like, okay, this guy's just going to, beat around the bush. Again, no pun intended. And he's going to pussyfoot around. And then, oh, nice. It's going to be like, nice to meet you. Bye. Okay, so number one, did you approach? Number two, did you own your intention to communicate that? And then number three, this is a good one, were you amusing yourself versus trying to impress other people? In other words, were you being authentic? Were you communicating authentically? Were you saying the jokes that you think are funny? Were you doing the things were you talking about the things that you like to talk about? Now, of course, again, there is conversational technique and there's an unveiling where you get to know the other person and all that, and asking open-ended questions and getting deep and I mean, yes, technique is essential, but ultimately you don't want to be walking this tightrope of like trying not to offend them or trying to like pandering to what you think they might like. It's like, no, put your personality in line and find those people that you have chemistry with. And when you do find those people, the attraction is going to be 10 times more powerful because it's authentic. There's a power in authenticity. There's a power in spontaneity. So again, how about when you go out tonight, you take that on board as your criteria for success? Not if the other person liked it, but did I approach? Did I own my intention? And did I amuse myself? If you did that, that's a success. Okay? NRG says, do you hold Bitcoin? I do. I got Bitcoin back when it was like 6,000. Like in 2017 or something. So yeah, I'm still hanging on to that. Hanging on. Hold on for one more day. Do you hold on for one more day? Things will go your way. Hold on for one more day. That's Wilson Phillips, if I'm not mistaken. I remember when I was a youth, I listened to that song, and there was Wilson Phillips, and there was 3 women in the group, and I found the fat one attractive. Is that too much? Wilson Phillips, look it up. Any advice on how to break up with someone? Any advice on how to manage partners' expectations? Yeah, that's kind of a deep topic. That's a topic for another video, I think. I'd love to delve into that, but again, I could talk for an hour on that. You know what I mean? Jeff, have you read Michael Singer's books? I don't know. What did he write? I forget. The name sounds very familiar, so I'm not sure. What saying was that, Jeff? Killer from a low or down from a low? Dangerous from the word hey. Dangerous from the word hey. So dangerous is basically meaning the moment you go up and you're like, good evening. They're like, oh, this fellow means business. Right? Not like, okay, here's some little dude with a little sweater who's going to like pretend to be my friend or something like this. It's like, dude, I go up there and again, I'm friendly. I'm relaxed. I'm not pressuring anyone. I'm not like desperate or come on, hey, what's up? Come on. Because I had this student recently last weekend, and he went up very direct. Now look, there's nothing wrong with going up direct, but it's just not my personal style. Like he's like, you're beautiful. I'm like, dude, it's just super cringe to me when I hear someone like say that when they open up. It's like, you're beautiful. I'm like, dude, it's just like simp nation or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm conditioned to feel that way and to feel it's very upsetting to me when guys do that. I'm like, because that's what just every drunk dumbass does. You're beautiful. Hand on the lower back. You're beautiful. It's like, dude, come on now. Are we doing this? No, we ain't doing this. So, yeah, I personally don't like it. But again, when I do go up and I stand in front, I'm like, good evening. There's just something about the eye contact that communicates it. It's like, okay, I see what's going on here. And again, as I said before, they know why you're there. Like, they're like, what do you think they're thinking when they're in the club? They're like, whoa, here comes some guy talking to me in club. I wonder what he wants. Is he here to be my friend? Is he here to sell me life insurance? They know why you're there. They know why you're there. So when you go up and again, you're like, hey, oh, where do you live? What do you do? This is why your beautiful guy is probably like better than the fucking the under the radar guy. I mean, not by much, marginally, but not by much. I mean, at least that guy's owning his intention, right? But he's not doing it in a smooth way. So you got to find that happy medium. Own the intention, but learn how to do it in a smooth way. I can teach you how to do that. All right, I got live infield programs, what I've been teaching for 18 years, where I can show you very, very clearly how to do that with structure, and we will drill it again and again. I will demonstrate it. Then you will do it. Then we'll do it together. Then I'll give you feedback. It's called a boot camp, okay? Live infield training. Go to charismamastery.com/events, and you'll be able to see my schedule. All right, charismamastery.com/events. What about in the day though? Yep. Here, I've been doing all day programs. I've been doing 3 days because the clubs were closed. We could just go to the park. 3 straight days in the park. We're bringing home new friends almost every weekend, every day from that park in the daytime. Yeah, the sun's out. Yeah, the sun's on this side of the planet. What about that? What about that? What about when the sun's on this side of the planet? It's different. It's so different. The sun's on this side of the planet. It's warm. You can see everything. It's different. How is it different? How is it different? Okay, granted, in the club, there's the lights, the music, the alcohol. You can hide it kind of in all of that. And true, yes, everyone can see everything. And so it's less expected for, perhaps some more of the forward, escalation type behaviors. But the underlying premise of the game is the same. It's the same thing, dude. It's not like now the sun's on this side of the planet, so biological imperatives are rendered moot. Like what? No. It's all the same. Same game.